Morning folks, I've been given this pair of scissors to try and restore. As you can see, they're in a bit of a state. Whoever has done them before has lost the pivot and carved the edges up a bit. I'll make a start on them now. First stage is to take them apart. And I already have worked out that there is no washer in this pivot, which is why they'll be so loose. Whoever sharpened them before, you can see it's just been bearing on the head of the screw. And I think the thread's a little bit chewed, but that'll come back. And then I shall look for any damage on the edge using 10 power loop and the light running across it. Any damage on the inside edge, that one's not too bad. Cover it up, the other one can't clout it. You can see in the shoulder here where it's actually been ground right back onto the shoulder. Funnily enough, the other couple of pairs of scissors I've done have been done the same. Now I'm going to check the edge using a 10 times loop and getting the light to run along it, along the edge of the blade. I'm looking for damage on the edge of the blade, and I can see where right in the shoulder here, you probably won't be able to see with a phone camera, but I'll photograph it with the big camera in a minute close up. You'll see how the shoulder has been given two angles here. I know this has been sharpened by hand and not in a jig. The metal doesn't lie. But other than that, we've got away with that. It's not too bad. I have been told they've been dropped, so I might have to realign the tips. The next stage is to establish the angle of the edge. So I use a marker, and that on the inside allows me to be able to see the start of the blade, which is why I don't grind the shoulder. It's ever so easy to avoid it. I don't know if you can see in the engraving, the angles are marked here, and the joint is the line to set it for. I'm going to set it for 25 because that is a pretty standard bevel for a chisel-edged scissor, and set it in the clamp and line it up. But then just to check, first of all I have a mark on the wheel, there it is, to check that the blade is set horizontal to the wheel. I put it at, just check it both ends, and that tells me that the blade is at 90 degrees to the wheel. Spin it by hand just to take the paint off. Ink, engineer's blue, and then I check it to see where it's touching, and at 20 degrees that is only on the back of the blade. It's only taken the ink off the back of the blade, it's not actually touching it. I will bring that up to 30 and do the same again until I know I'm at the correct angle. That sounds better, you can hear it. Has taken the ink off all the way along the blade. If I get the light on it somehow, I don't know if you can see where the bright has taken the black off. I'll wiggle it about a bit so maybe you can see, you'll get it. And that's how I check that the angle is correct. It's a bit low for a chisel edge blade, so either that's the previous sharpener or what the scissors were set at. These taken so much meat off I can't put it back. And a very light run across the wheel. And puts a burr on, which I can just feel. But in actual fact, in this light, I can see the burr appearing as I'm running it across the wheel. And this is diamonds, So it's cutting an edge, not grinding an edge. Having put a burr on there with the wheel, we now have to take that off. So the blade gets rolled onto the curved block, flat. I'm putting pressure on with my finger on the tip, which does most of the work, and then get the pressure even across the blade and just draw back. No forward movement at all. The same again, roll it down and draw back. That prevents the burr from being folded over. Once I've done that a couple of times and I'm satisfied, then I can keep it flat and go back and forth to polish that inside line. Right, that's that honed on the first block. I'm now going to a finer grade of block. So we'll swap blocks, and this polishes it to an even finer degree to make it run smoother. This is actually 7,000 grit, and for a standard pair of scissors the factory can't go to these lengths. Handmade scissors, yes, but not for machine made scissors. Okay, put it back into the jig, and I don't know if you can see that polished line all the way around the edge of the blade. I'm being careful with my fingers because it'd be like a scalpel now already. That's what the blocks did. And now we must polish the edge back again the other way on a soft wheel, to which this is a very fine polish at about 12,000 grit. It really is very, very fine polish. It's like a jeweller would use, just to finish off. And that's the first blade done. You can see I've gone all the way along. You'll be able to see little bits of felt wheel the whole way along the edge, so I know it's gone right. Clean that off while it's still warm. One of the benefits of being able to work outside today rather than in the dingy workshop is the polish stays soft. That one's done. Set this one aside by wrapping it in my towel, which is a nice soft duster. No harm can come to that one now, and we do exactly the same on the second blade. Okay, the bump stop is absolutely knackered on these. It really is chewed up to pieces, so I've got to get rid of the old one, which might need a bit of brutality to get it out. I have Vaseline, no, that lifted out, no problem. And now we've got a clean hole, but I will clean the hole out first, get any debris out of there. Look what came out. And the new bump stop is inserted in the hole and pulled in so far, and then I get a drop, a very small drop of super glue on there, and then give a good heave to seat it and hold it pulled. It's the pressure that sets the glue, and I can see glue on my fingers, so I've got to be careful. And that's seated. I'll cut that off later. Okay, I've got a new washer out of the packet. I'm putting a washer on the screw because it didn't have one, and then these have already been lined up. You've got to watch your fingers. Please, after I've sharpened your scissors, please mind your fingers. And this is very big, gentle bit of polishing compound so as not to cross thread it. It's worth taking the time. Right, I'll give that a little bit of a shake to help seat it. That's gone in now. It's too tight, look, because the blades aren't dropping. Doesn't matter. Provided the blades are open, you won't do any damage. And now, by the time they're lubed, okay, and we just check the balance. It's not quite there yet. Back it out a little tiny bit, and that's getting there nicely now. The next stage I'll do is first of all cut the burr off and then check. This is, for this test we use wood-free facial tissue, and the first stage is to just cut a little bit at a time until all the way through, and then the final test is unsupported tissue. Wetted is better. Oh, look at that. And these were a pair of scissors that have been dropped and mullered. Perfect.